Once upon a time in a land far away called Bethlehem, there lived a woman named Naomi. Naomi had a husband, Elimelech, and 2 sons. They lived a happy life, but one year there was a terrible famine in their country. There was not enough food to eat, so Naomi, her husband, and their 2 sons decided to move to a place called Moab, hoping they would find food and safety there. In Moab, things were hard at first, but they slowly started to make a new life. However, after some time, Naomi's husband Elimelech passed away. It was very sad for Naomi, but she still had her 2 sons to keep her company. But then even more sadness came. Both of Naomi's sons died too, leaving Naomi all alone in a strange land. Naomi was heartbroken, and she decided to return to Bethlehem. She told her 2 daughters-in-law, Orpah and Ruth, to stay in Moab and go back to their families. "You have been so kind to me," Naomi said, "but I can't take care of you anymore. Go back to your homes and may God bless you." Orpah, the older daughter-in-law, kissed Naomi goodbye and returned to her family. But Ruth, the younger daughter-in-law, had something very different in her heart. Ruth loved Naomi deeply and she didn't want to leave her. She said to Naomi, "Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people and your God will be my God. I will never leave you." Naomi was amazed at Ruth's love and loyalty. She realized that Ruth's heart was full of kindness, and so they traveled together back to Naomi's home in Bethlehem. When they arrived, the people of Bethlehem were surprised to see Naomi, but they were even more amazed to see Ruth, a woman from Moab. It was not common for people from Moab to come to Bethlehem, but Naomi introduced Ruth and shared her story. Ruth was a kind and hard-working woman, and though they had no money, she was determined to take care of Naomi. One day, Ruth went to the fields to gather leftover grain that had been dropped by the workers. This was a way to help feed those in need. As she worked, she caught the attention of a man named Boaz. Boaz was a wealthy and good man, and he had heard about Ruth's kindness to Naomi. He admired her for her hard work and her devotion to Naomi. Boaz asked Ruth to stay in his fields and told her not to worry about anything. He made sure she was safe and had enough to eat. Ruth was very grateful and thanked Boaz for his kindness. Boaz had heard about her love for Naomi, and he wanted to help her. As time passed, Boaz and Ruth grew closer. Naomi, seeing the kindness between them, knew that Boaz was a family member who could be a redeemer for Ruth, a person who could marry her and take care of her and Naomi. So Naomi made a plan and told Ruth what to do. Ruth went to Boaz in the middle of the night, when he was resting on the threshing floor, and asked him to take care of her by becoming her husband. Boaz was moved by Ruth's humility and courage, and he promised to marry her. But there was one thing Boaz had to do first. He had to make sure that another relative had the chance to marry Ruth because that was the custom of the time. Boaz went to this relative and kindly asked if he would take on the responsibility. When the relative saw that Ruth would inherit land, he decided not to marry her, so Boaz could marry her instead. Boaz and Ruth were married, and they had a son named Obed. Naomi was overjoyed because her family had been restored, and Ruth, who had once been a stranger in Bethlehem, was now honored and loved. Obed grew up to have a son named Jesse, and Jesse had a son named David, who would later become one of the greatest kings of Israel. So Ruth, a woman from Moab, became part of God's beautiful plan. Through her love, kindness, and faith, she not only blessed Naomi, but she also became part of a royal family, the family of King David. The story of Ruth teaches us about loyalty, kindness, and faith. Ruth didn't give up on her mother-in-law or on God. She trusted that even in difficult times, God would take care of her, and He did in the most amazing way. Ruth's story shows that even when things seem hard, good things can come when we show love and faith. And so, this story of Ruth is not just a tale of long ago. It's a reminder for all of us that love, kindness, and faith can change the world, one step at a time.